Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Welcome to IFYL Inspirations for Your Life. It is a Monday evening, just before midnight. It's 11:25 p.m. Getting this off to you before midnight. Always try to do that, but sometimes it does happen that it's after. But I always get it to you before I go to sleep. So, welcome to you. We start on a Saturday with a brand new master topic. We roll all the way through the week, and we finish up on a Friday, which is day 7. And we'll get to that in just a second. But I want to thank you very much for stopping in tonight and for watching and soaking up this great knowledge. I also want to thank my friends, colleagues, and wonderful associates for coming back and watching and absorbing this great content and drinking the Kool-Aid. And of course, I want to thank you if you are watching us at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 a.m., 10 p.m. at night, or just 9 a.m. in the morning. Whatever time it is, I want to thank you for rewatching us on the replay. So thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Here we go, everyone. The master topic, understanding how to tell a story. We're on series number 2, which basically means we're in year 2. We are in show number 4, and we're in episode number 3. That's how you read that. And we're talking about how to tell a story. Now, we were talking the other day about the minds and how that all worked, but I want to talk to you about a story, okay? So you might be saying to me, hey, John, what is a story? And that's a great question. So story, according to Merriam-Webster, means a couple things. So a story, according to Merriam-Webster, and I quote, is an account of incidents or events. It's also a statement regarding the facts pertinent to a situation in question. It's an anecdote, usually an amusing one. A fictional narrative shorter than a novel, a short story. It's a fictional narrative, as we said. It is the intrigue or plot of a narrative or dramatic work, a wildly circulated rumor, a lie, a falsehood, a legend, a romance, a news article or broadcast, a matter or situation. And that is the meaning of the noun. The verb, transitive verb, is to adorn with a story or a scene from history, archaic, to narrate or describe in story form. So the space in a building between two adjacent floor levels or between a floor and the roof is also known as a story, a set of rooms in such a space, a unit of measure. So there are a lot of things that we can think of story, okay? So you might be saying to me, hey, John, when was the very first story? Well, the very first story turns out to be right around 3400 BC when they began putting markings on clay tablets using script known as cuneiform, and a certain type of text that consists of economic and administrative documents. But by the 3rd millennium BC, scribes were copying down essays, hymns, poetry, and all kinds of other things. And there were 2 very popular oldest literary works, the Kesh Temple Hymn and the Instructions of the Shuruppak, both which existed in written versions dating to around 2500 BC. And the former is an ancient ode to the Kesh Temple and the deities that inhabited it. But stories have been around for a very, very, very long time. And I have to tell you that when we think about stories, the most important thing about a story is that it needs to interest the other person. Many people tell stories because they want to seem great. And I get it, it's ego and all that stuff. But the best way to tell a story is to just tell it the way you feel and strive to become genuinely interested in the other person. So while you tell it, they should become interested in you. But as you tell a story, try to tell it around something that's going to interest the person. For example, if you're talking to someone and maybe they're an entrepreneur and you're talking about your experience in business, you can talk about, well, when I started my business, so you can kind of relate to it, right? When you have a relating point, people, they open up more. They become not just interested in your story, but they become so passionate that they've got to have a meaning. It's really important. So I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it is very, very important to know that a story is a very important part in your life and other people's lives. And so, you know, people ask me every day, John, why do we tell stories? And we tell stories for human reasons. So we can inspire, so we can motivate, so we can educate, right? Teach, so we can entertain, and so we can share the lessons that we have had the privilege of having an account for in life. And I think that's a very interesting thing. It's the account in life that we have. And that account allows us to disseminate the information to other people that want to learn. Thank you, everyone, for the thumbs up. Really appreciate that. And so, a story is just an account. Now, a story can be two types of things. A story can be fictional and a story can be nonfiction. So, what's the difference between a non-fictional story, nonfiction versus fiction? And when I first learned this, it was a little confusing. So, fiction books incorporate made-up elements like time travel, mythical creatures, etc. Nonfiction are created from facts. Okay, that's very, very important. So if you're somebody who wants to write on fiction, well, that's going to be stuff that's going to be made up. Nonfiction is actually truth. Okay. When we think about a story, like I told one to you the other day about the salt mines, and I told you another one about the different kinds of mines that were in the coal mines. So another kind of story might be let's tell a story about a game. So the other day, I was playing soccer. Now I'm telling you a story from many, many years ago. I was playing soccer, and we were down to the last 10 minutes of the final, um, period. So in soccer, people say to me, John, what do you call periods in soccer? So in soccer, um, they're divided into two halves, a first half and a second half. So we were down to the last maybe 10 minutes in the second half. And so the coach had decided to put me in, which I was grateful that he did. And he told me, as soon as you go in, I want you to go get the ball. Okay. You're good on offense. Go get the ball. And if they decide to come back at you before you get it, make sure you really slam them with a defense. I mean, that is really, really vital. So there were other players on the team, and everybody was very panicked. And I said, "Okay, look, Joey, look, you're going to pass me the ball. Mark, you're going to pass you the ball. Just drill back and forth, and let's just try to confuse them. All right, let's just try to confuse them. Go back around, pass, and then when we've kind of confused them enough, and we're just going to kind of take the ball and just go right up the lane, and we're going to go right out because they're going to be wondering like what we're doing." And don't get nervous. We know the plan. I'm going to pass to you, pass to you. We all know the way it's going to pass, right? But they don't know that pass. So you know how we're going to do the play, but they don't. Now, if for some reason I suspect that they're going to detect what we're doing, I'm going to change it. And I'm going to say something simple like red ball. And red ball is just going to mean that we're going to reverse the play. Okay. And I remember with not even 2 minutes left in the half, I was down to just maybe a few feet from the goalpost. And this kid came charging at me. He gets the ball, he gets it away from me, and Paul gets the ball, kicks it back to me, and I give it a wail, and bam, it goes right into the net. And when it goes into the net, I felt so amazingly good. And when the game was over, the team all lifted me up. We poured Gatorade over the coach, and it was a feeling that I just treasured for the rest of that year because that never happened to me before. Now, that was a story that even though it was about me, you could relate to it because it was a human interest story, right? If I would have told you a story about me playing soccer, I'm like, and I was the best at this, and I was the best at that, and I did everything myself, and I kicked the ball, and I did that, and I didn't incorporate other players, you'd be like, gee, John was a real jerk. But no, in my story, I wanted to involve other people, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. And then whenever I told the story to other people that were part of my team, they revered in the story and they loved the points where I spoke with them, but they also loved the parts when I talked about me because they got their credit. And I think when you tell a story, it's important to share the details. Now, some people, when they tell a story, they just get too deep, right? They go into the micro inches. They just get so deep. And it's like, really? Just tell me about what happened. And when I took that kick and I went right in, I almost fell. I still kept my balance. And the goalie jumped up. He's like, I got it. And it went right through his hands. Because when he got it, I was like, oh, gee, I messed that up. And then it went through his hands and it went right through the corner of the net. And as soon as that happened, there was like a silence. And then there was like this big cheer from the crowd. And the game was over. And at that moment, I had a very defining moment in life. So stories help us to not only share those defining moments, but they help other people to, let's say, come up to the bar or to be exemplary or to motivate them. So there are lots of different kinds of stories, but tonight, the most important story I want to talk about is the human interest story, right? So what is a human interest story? Well, so a human interest story is a feature story that discusses people or pets in an emotional way. It presents people and their problems or concerns or achievements, which is what a sports um, game is. And a human interest story is a feature article that tells someone's story through some very vivid details, some quotes, some emotional language. So you got to literally experience how I felt, as I stepped up to the net and I could just feel the sweat dripping off my head. And my heart was just palpitating even faster. And I didn't know if I was going to make it. And I kept going closer and closer. And I said, whatever I'm doing, I'm just going to do the best I can. And passed it, came back and kicked. And I didn't think I got it in because the goalie got it. And a second later, I heard it hit the net. And the guy's like, you did it. And it wasn't obvious to me until I heard that swoosh noise because he thought he got it too. And then he must have leaned back and the ball just went right through his hands. I know he didn't live that one down too well, but it was an amazing experience. And every time I play soccer, I always told that story, especially if there were new people on the team. I talked about how important it is to have teamwork because, if we didn't have teamwork, I would have never been able to score that goal. If I missed it and I kicked it to my team player and he decided to not kick it back to me and try to take the shot himself because he wanted that ego, he might have not made it. But he trusted me enough because I'm a good player and he know that I was good at kicking goals. He kicked it back to me and I made the play. And I thanked him because even though I got the goal, it was really him that set me up. I was there, but he set me up. He put me in the back of the ball and bam, I went right in the net. And when you hear that swish noise, it was like, oh, it felt really amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It's been a privilege, been a pleasure, been an honor to be with you. It's amazing Monday night, first night of the week. I hope you'll like, love, support the channel, comment below, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates, share this out with everyone you know on social media, and then be sure, of course, to go to my YouTube channel, John Space E Space Morley Space Serial Entrepreneur. Look for that key phrase to help keep our content free. Make the choice, ladies and gentlemen, to buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, or a savory dessert. Either way, you know we're going to be very grateful with those pennies and dollars that you invest into us. That we'll put that into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, impactful content to allow you to change your life if you really want to. That's the key. If you really want to, I can give you all this great food, all this great nourishment for your mental diet. But if you don't want to accept it, it's not going to go anywhere. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. You know what? I'm going to see you tomorrow with a whole new episode. Remember, human interest stories are very vital. And when you're doing something, use your team, play with your team, and realize that if it's not for your team, you may not get that victory. So remember, you might have scored the goal, you might have got the client, but it was because of a team effort. And don't forget that. And I'll see you real soon, guys.